Here we go, Roddy. Up in the top left-hand corner of Belshir Vestige, the red Terran player, down 0-1, but full of passion and fire. It is EG aLive. And his opponent in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. The blue Terran player representing Team Startail. His name is Hack. Putting his first supply depot right next to his refinery. But that's okay, because you can lower those and they don't get in the way.
Now I'm very curious how these two guys are going to open up once more. Ben Hack, never a guy that opens up with a Reaper. aLive might do it this time to get a little bit of additional information, because perhaps he kind of misread his opponent after all in the long run, because he really thought he would be able to hit that timing window that he was looking for, but he didn't hit it, and that really just set up pretty much everything how game 1 turned out. As silly as it may sound, because something at the 9-minute mark shouldn't really affect something that happens in the 28-minute mark, but in a weird way it really did. Hack contained his opponent beautifully on 3 bases because he was ahead after a certain phase in the game. That it took 18 minutes to finish him off, well, you know what they say, Ben, you'd rather be safe than sorry, and if you think you're ahead, just stay ahead until your opponent makes a move.
That was truly Artosis style. Get more ahead, and then get more ahead, and then get more ahead.
Until your opponent is really, really fed up with being behind.
And he's just like, you know what, let's just play game 2. And that's kind of what we saw happen. It's going to be Command Center first out of aLive this time.
Oh, that's cool. It's not something I see him do oh so often in TVT. Certainly not on a map like Belshir.
Yep, but it is, I guess, a little bit more in line with what we expect from aLive. He's not a guy that we know to be overly aggressive in early game TVT. And at least this time we know he's going to be assuming that defensive position versus what we saw on Akalon Waste, where he didn't really better himself with his early game aggression.
Perhaps it's something you can easily get away with as well, because he knows the opponent never goes for a Reaper. Reaper can be kind of annoying to deal with if you're going Command Center first. It's not the end of the world. You're able to perhaps just run away a little bit with an SCV, get your Marine out. But still, the fact that Hack never ever opens up with a Reaper, or rarely proxied. I've seen, I think, 10 TVTs of Hack in the last 2-3 months, and I've not seen him do a proxy rec once. So.
Yeah, he's getting a fast factory. He got that early gas. And I don't know, maybe we're going to see a quick Widow Mine, or even another Banshee opening is a possibility. I think Hack's a guy who has a pretty wide range of openings in TVT, never really doing the same thing twice. There's that second gas going down, so that tells us that he is going to attack very hard 2 gas before his first Command Center. And with a couple of Marines out, he's able to easily deny aLive's scouting. Did aLive see that factory, though, is the real question. He did not. He didn't see anything. aLive is in the dark.
aLive did not see anything. Starport going down indeed already for Hack. TechLab going down on the factory, so it's very possible that he's going to go with a Banshee. I don't think we're going to see Banshee opening out of aLive, because that would of course be much, much later, because he went with a Command Center first. So what's much more likely is that he's either going to go Viking Raven, or at least get 1 or 2 Widow Mines out as well to make it harder for those Banshees to be really effective. And then get a Viking before the Raven, or a Raven before the Viking.
Something that we have seen from aLive in the past is him opening up, you know, economically, and then going Viking Raven, like you just said, and then going for that weird kind of mid-game Banshee that can catch players off guard if they don't properly prepare for it. That's something that you might look for out of aLive here. But thus far, it looks like it's going to be Cloak for Hack, and aLive's going to have to figure out a way to defend it.
This is kind of old school TVT right now, where back in the days you used to show us 1 Rex fast expand builds against the Cloak Banshee, and it was all like, alright, the Cloak Banshee is going to have to kill 4 or 5 SCVs to be even. Anything more, it's going to put himself quite far ahead, but he's going to have to make something happen. This is really cool over here though by Hack. Hack's going to make it a lot harder for aLive to take his natural, as he's going to proxy a bunker. I think that's pretty cute.
I like to call this the QXC bunker. He used to do this in Terran versus Zerg. Maybe he still does it in TVZ occasionally. It's just a really annoying way to limit your opponent's ability to actually take space. And with 4 Marines in that bunker, aLive's going to have to wait until he has something a little bit more substantial to bust out and take it. Maybe he needs 6 or 8 Marines, or maybe he waits for a Siege Tank. Siege Tank's not going to be coming anytime soon, though, as he doesn't even have a tech lab on that factory.
Hack's producing a Siege Tank really quick. Taking a look at the mineral count from Hack, it doesn't really look like he wants to drop an expand anytime soon as well. He's sending out 1 SCV right now, though, so unless it's going to idle, well, actually it's going up right now. So maybe it's still going to be a Command Center, but Hack is going to try to make something happen with that super quick tank and contain his opponent even longer. That would be really beautiful. If this plays out the way that Hack has it in mind right now, I'd be very, very impressed.
Yeah, it's all sort of fitting together pretty seamlessly. aLive doing a good job with his SCV of scouting the Command Center timing, This should at least let him know that he needs to be ready to defend something.
He doesn't see that siege tank making his way across the map though, and that would be a massive tell. Meanwhile, Scan goes down for the Banshee, and Banshee will stay alive for now.
Hack actually revealed that siege tank. Banshee's still alive and still annoying in the main base. Now we can see 55 energy on the command center, so there is enough there for a scan. If aLive chooses to do so, instead it looks like he wants to wait for that turret to finish up, and that will give him nearly all the ammo he needs to kill that Banshee. Are you going to spin the scan aLive?
Don't fly it into range, there's no need for that. There's a Viking on top of you. Wow, Hack is playing with fire, but he's doing this extremely well.
Ace pilot.
Wow, this is so good. Hack just
points.
sees this invisible ring of the turret saying, alright, I know where you can and cannot see me. This is pretty sick.
Man, that missile turret guy is so frustrated. He doesn't see the Banshee, he just sees bullets raining from the skies. Energy runs out, Viking picks off the Banshee, but look at the great position Hack has created for himself. He's still got this bunker outside of aLive's natural. Hack's going to be mining in his natural before aLive, in spite of the fact that aLive went command center first. That's pretty incredible when you think about it.
Yep, Hack has been putting the tank in the corner. I'm not sure why he does it exactly. Okay, tank being repositioned right now. The moment that tank sieges up, I think aLive's going to have a super difficult time in breaking this contain that's been set up with the very first Marines. Man, Hack's been playing really well so far in this series. He's just doing everything right. It's not too spectacular, but it's just very smart, and it's going to put him ahead. And as you mentioned, Ben, it's command center first against a very late, well, not very late, but around the 7-8 minute mark command center, and Hack is actually mining off his natural before aLive is. And when is aLive going to break out? We all know how hard it is to break out against siege tanks.
aLive did go ahead and build that that Banshee, Kev. He doesn't have Cloak, and Hack is getting a Viking, so there's a good chance that this Banshee does nothing. But if the Viking misses it, oh, he does have Cloak. So aLive makes his way into the natural. Cloak Banshee now, and he's going to begin directly affecting the economy of Hack. That's something Hack hasn't really been able to do. He's done a little bit of harassment, but aLive already with 5 SCV kills, now 6, soon to be 7. Is doing a great job. Might even catch a siege tank now.
The Banshee from Hack comes back as well. Like, oh, I'm here. Okay,
I can see you!
but I can't shoot up.
If only I could fly higher and shoot down on you.
And on the other side of the map now as well, we can see aLive slowly but steadily trying to work on those tanks. It's really smart as well with his Banshee, so forcing the Marines to get in range of his own siege tank he has on the high ground. aLive is doing this really well. He's working with the strategy he's giving. He knew that he was in a tough position, but he somehow made something happen with just that single Banshee of himself.
Yep, 9 kills on that Banshee. It runs out of energy, and now Vikings are going to try and chase it across the map. I don't know if they're actually going to get the kill, though. Banshees are very quick, and Hack decides, you know what, I've got to give up this position. And at the end of the day, 33 SCVs for aLive to 31 of Hack. It's almost even.
What a beautiful decision by aLive to go for that Cloak Banshee still in that phase of the game and try to make something happen on the other side of the map. He's like, hey, if you have all your units in my natural, what do you really have at home? Can you deal with a Cloak Banshee? Well, eventually he was able to deal with it, but not before aLive at least buying enough time for himself. This Banshee might actually be able to pick up both siege tanks.
This is actually phenomenal play.
Oh, come on now.
Oh, Cloak it! aLive's going
oh my god, they're both one shot. Here come 3 Vikings though. One tank will fall, and the second tank is
dead.
Going to fall as well.
Great play here out of aLive with a quick turnaround. And that said, he doesn't need to overextend as the Hack has a considerable defensive force. Scan's going to go down, and Hack's going to lose a Banshee. So aLive with a very real threat, very real presence out on the map. Hack is being frustrating once again with his own Banshee flying into the back of the natural, taking off a couple of SCVs, and wow, Widowmine.
Good Widowmine placement,
If
man.
only it did 15 more damage.
On the other side of the map, we see aLive losing a little bit of concentration as well. One tank was overextending a little bit, but actually the tank will get out. For a moment it looked like it was going to die, but aLive or Hack didn't really chase it down. What a bizarre TVT so far. Very weird. We see both players just fighting all the time on the other side of the map while having something to worry about on their own side of the map. And at the end of the day, you could say that it's relatively even.
Yeah, it's very even. If we look at the army supply, 46 to 44. Look at the worker supply, 40 to 40. It's so crazy to me that these TVTs can open so differently, and by the 15-minute mark, be so incredibly even. This single Cloak Banshee does get shot down. Total workers killed 15. Well, excuse me, that's total units killed. Total workers killed 8 for aLive, 10 for Startail Hack.
We see aLive slowly but steady gearing up for his real position though. He's not going to go mech anymore, we're just going to see him fall back to what he knows. Perhaps best, because I do feel in general aLive is better in Bio vs Bio than he is in mech vs mech. Hack on the other side of the map is also going to play Bio this game, so we're not going to see something crazy out of him.
That's right. First Marines and Medivacs are out now for Hack. I think we'll probably see him dropping here momentarily. Vikings in the meantime, Hack's Vikings I should say, being used defensively, positioned just outside of his main base, where they will be able to intercept incoming drops if that's what aLive chooses to do. But right now, it's all about just taking map control, clearing off the Zellnaga towers. Good job here by Hack, because it does spot that big Marine group.
Marine count is very even on our side as well. Both players having 31 Marines right now. Of course, aLive moving out with more Marines. Looked like he had a nice advantage, but that side is very deceiving as Hack lost.
Yep.
Or left plenty of Marines in them.
And certainly when you consider the lack of medevacs. If you look at the units tab, medevac advantage does rest in Hack's hands, but only by 2, 4 medevacs to 2. No big deal.
I think it's going to be hard for either player to really make something happen right now. Hack has plenty of units inside those medevacs, even a couple of siege tanks that are in the middle of the map right now. He has to be so careful, because there was a group of Marines over there by aLive as well. If aLive would have stimmed in, that would have been catastrophic, but that's not going to happen right now. We see Hack actually getting ready to put on some aggression, which I find remarkable. If he's able to put up a container over here, that's going to make things really interesting. aLive is definitely not that far, or not in a position to really run into siege. He's going to scan right now. If he wants to break it, he's going to have to go right now before more tanks are being dropped. He has 3 tanks over here, but there are plenty of tanks in those medevacs. aLive is just letting him set this up once more.
aLive's not cut off from the rest of the map yet. He can still sort of exit to the south as we see those Marines stealing forward to try and pick off the medevac. They are unsuccessful, and even end up taking a big tank volley to the face.
What's also really interesting is that neither player decided to drop a 3rd command center ever, so both players are in 2 command centers right now. So despite having this little bit of contain, it doesn't mean too much yet for Hack. It's so even in supply though, but you know, the player that's going to run into siege tanks is going to have a difficult time.
Great job by aLive, just being mindful of what his opponent's up to. A single Marine at each of the possible 3rd expansions for Hack. So aLive knows exactly what he's playing against, and he should know, all right, all I want to do right now is produce units, nothing else, to make sure that I'm able to defend this. A little bit of a supply block for Hack, who's now stuck at 150.
I think Hack might actually go for a really big drop soon. He has a couple of medevacs on the south side of aLive's base. aLive has left quite a few siege tanks behind her, but those tanks are a little bit out of position right now. These are not enough Marines for aLive to protect his production buildings right now, and these tanks will siege up.
Oh man, this is a very scary moment. aLive running back with basically all of his Marines and SCVs. He's going to take a ton of damage, and Hack's Marines are not all fighting. Now they're going to stand and try and actually deal some damage back. aLive's gonna clean this up, but this was is he gonna clean this up? He's not gonna clean this up. Oh no, what a costly defense. A few scraggling Marines managed to come in here and kill off this last siege tank.
But at the same time, we had 1 medevac drop from aLive on the other side of the map, and there were just no units at all for Hack to defend anything in his main base. So yes, aLive lost a crazy amount of SCVs, but Hack has lost a crazy amount of SCVs as well. And Hack was already down in SCVs, so right now, as silly as it sounds, aLive is actually still ahead in workers with 11.
Man, unbelievable action we're seeing here. Another drop into the main base from Hack, who's going to be just relentless in that regard. aLive sending back a few, all of his units, Marines and siege tanks alike. Hack still with this tank contain on the outside of the natural. Oh no, he's going to push into the natural as well. Another medevac being unloaded, forcing aLive to multitask, defending 2 places at once. Medevacs will evacuate every other unit being killed. The tanks at the front for aLive have all fallen, and Hack is going to move up his contain just a little bit closer.
What a bizarre game this has been. Hack is still ahead in army supply, not by too much, but he has a little bit, still has a little bit of containment in his opponent as well. aLive miscontrolling a couple of Marines over there. He will lose those 24 army supply lead for Hack right now.
Yeah, suddenly that small lead becoming a bit more substantial as Hack at about 106 supply against the 96 supply of aLive. A close game still, but Hack looks like he might be pulling ahead ever so slightly. Both players have mined out their main bases. All that remains is what is in the natural.
There is 2 Viking lead over there for Hack, which of course there are no Vikings on the other side, but air control is almost everything, so you will always be able to see when those tanks will be moving. And of course he might be able to snipe down a medevac here and there, but he has to be very careful. Just a single Viking remaining after he lost 1 of them. Having a little bit of contain is still a contain, and there are so many units for Hack outside of range of aLive. aLive might think like, oh, those tanks, I can perhaps break that soon. But there are a crazy amount of Marines for Hack, almost knocking on the front door of aLive as well. 55 Marines for him against 46 for aLive.
Huge small detail, huge small, is the fact that there was a single siege tank from Hack able to hit the command center of aLive. aLive did stem a few Marines for it and pick it off. But no, that's not true. He's still 2 tanks in range of this command center, so this actually puts aLive on the clock. He's got to do something about this before the command center dies.
And he got vision of that because of that medevac, and that medevac can just idle there because there's not a single Viking out for aLive, and Hack still has that one Viking. That's a hero Viking right now, because that's basically the personal protection of the hero.
I got your back, bro.
They mess with you, I'll mess with them. See Hack right now even feeling like, hey, this is a kind of nice contain. We see a couple of Marines once more going forward for aLive, trying to pick off one of those tanks. Not gonna happen. aLive losing more and more Marines, and what started as a soft contain is kind of a hard contain right now. He is down 25 Marines. We did see him try to drop once more on the other side of the map, but Hack had plenty of Marines in his own natural to deal with that little drop. Hack is playing a really cool TVT series, man.
Very low, Kev, down to just 300 hit points. aLive's gonna have to go for it. Here comes the big stem, but Hack is there with many units of his own. The siege tanks are gonna die. Hack, man, too much moving, not enough shooting. And aLive actually mustering enough of a defense to keep him in this game. 98 supply for aLive to the 108 supply of Hack right now. That command center was burning, but it is not gonna burn down.
You know it's a crazy game when it's a 22-minute mark, both players have 1-1 on their bio.
Yeah.
That's not because they forgot, that's just because there was never really any room for anything like that to squeeze in. During all this, there has been a third command center in production for quite a while for Hack. He's going to be able to take that third base soon, but the mains are kind of mined out anyway, so aLive's just going to float over. Meanwhile, we have another big engagement in the middle of the map.
Oh, Hack might just go for it. One siege tank gets picked off, but the other's nicely protected in the back, and Hack has to retreat from that position, falling back to his own siege tank, which forces aLive not to give chase. 76 supply to 78. Now this game's getting so close.
I kind of like the position that aLive is putting himself in. Slowly but steady, he's going to be able to pick up that tank, pick up the medevac as well, which had the Marines in it. He's going to be able to take his own third base with the orbital command he had in his main. But that is okay, the main is pretty much mined out anyway. And he does still have an SCV lead, as crazy as it sounds. He's been ahead in SCVs throughout that entire push. Man, I cannot believe that aLive didn't die there. For a second it really looked like he was just going to die eventually. But he picked the right fight. Certainly when you said that Hack was perhaps running a little bit too much, that was kind of the fight where aLive turned everything around.
Yeah, it's crazy that he's able to bounce back from that and is now on the aggressive.
For the first time in this series, actually.
He's going to push down towards this third base of Hack. Also, by the way, aLive floated his main command center to his third expansion. So aLive now, he's economically still in this thing. Hack's going to try to stem forward and pick off a siege tank. He does succeed in doing so. Cost him a couple of Marines, though. And Hack now, for the first time, getting a taste of his own medicine, forced to deal with the contain.
Tried to drop a little bit on the right side of the map, where aLive was trying to take his third base, but aLive was all over that as well. We see a planetary fortress right now being morphed into this. That's kind of interesting. Not something you normally see in the third base of a Terran player.
Yeah.
Good tank position by Hack though, because he was kind of behind in units, but by keeping those tanks in that good position over here on that hill, he's able to take this base without too many struggles.
You know, I feel like Hack is still a little better off than aLive, even though the supplies don't reflect it. He's got double orbital that he's able to drop mules with, and he's got that planetary that's going to keep his third extra safe, whereas aLive also has double orbital, but one of them's at the third base. It's the same one that started in his main, so perhaps...
Well, that doesn't really make a difference.
Well, it does, because it's a little bit easier to attack into aLive's third base than it is to attack into Hack's third base. It becomes much harder for aLive to be aggressive.
It's a super even game. If you just look at all the unit counts right now, 28 against 26 SVs, 4 tanks against 3. aLive does have a very nice Marine lead though. He has roughly 20 Marines more, and that has been different in many phases of this game. So this is a crucial phase for Hack. Hack is going to have to survive, at least for a little bit. Do not take any damage at all from any of the potential drops that aLive might throw at him. And aLive is also not a Terran player that's not afraid to pick up his entire army and just drop into the main base. That's something he did twice against the Muslim in the round of 16 last season here at WCS America, when he was a little bit ahead, and the moment he felt like he was in a position to get away with it, he just did it. It's going to be hard to do it, but perhaps right now there are a crazy amount of Marines for Hack on the right top side of the map. If aLive decides to drop everything up, which is what he does right now.
So we're going to see some craziness. aLive's going to go drop in the main base. Is he going to elevator up the rest of the units? Meanwhile, Hack getting aggressive at the third base of aLive. So aLive is going to lose this mining third. That's huge. Will Hack be able to save his main base? I think, it's going to be so close. It's hard to call. Tanks on the low ground firing up. Marines coming forward as well. More tanks for Hack, but they are taking heavy damage. Can aLive pick off these siege tanks? It looks like no. Hack's Hack's going to break it.
Wow.
The tanks are going to fall. Hack is, at least for now, mustering some semblance of a defense. Still, there are Marines in his main base.
Yes, he's gonna have to kill those Marines, because those Marines will kill all these production buildings. That means no more additional units. You're gonna have to unsiege everything. If Hack cleans this up, then he's in a really good position. The reinforcements are coming back.
The drop is returning. The last tank will fall, and Hack will defend. Just beautiful play out of Hack. Really calculated that perfectly. Picked off the third base of aLive, and then flew those units home with great haste. 79 supply against 77. Army supply is still basically even. aLive has one final push left in him, Kev, because he's lost his only mining base. So he has one chance to win this game, and I don't think it's going to happen.
It's going to be very hard. He has a small Marine lead, he has a small tank lead. Oh, Hack has to be so careful though, don't overextend. There's no need for him to be here. Out of position,
he's going to... Oh no, Kevin, Hack is in so much trouble, he's forced to siege and fight. Here come the reinforcements. aLive does not like the concave, and he's going to back off. And I think this could be all the momentum that Hack needs. He's going to come forward, one tank down, a second tank's going to fall, and that's going to do it for the army of aLive.